Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Rolling Credits. We are back, baby. Hope you guys are excited. We got, of course, the normal suspects, the usual suspects, I should say. We got Gums, we got Kirby, and we got Pat. And then, of course, there's always me, Seth. We wanted to kind of discuss football. I know the Super Bowl is already going to have passed at this point. But we wanted to talk about football and some of our favorite football movies, some of our favorite teams, dream teams, you name it. We're just breaking it all down. And we got Gums. You can't see him because he's not, you're listening to the audio probably. He's repping his Viking shirt right now, his Viking sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
He's already ready.
He's ready. So, yeah, let's get into it, boys. You guys. Oh, we got the Hunters. I don't even know what that is.
That's the Mandalorians right there.
Let's go, baby.
I didn't even notice the Mandalorian helmet on that. That's great.
That is actually pretty legit. Now I feel bad for not wearing my Cardinals shirt.
You should. You really should.
My jersey's in LA, so I get it. I feel that.
You should also feel bad, Pat, for not direct shipping from LA.
Appreciate that. I was gonna bust out my Golden Knights hockey jersey, but I didn't think that was gonna be appropriate.
That's a little weird. Different sport.
different sport.
For the Stanley Cup episode, we'll do a hockey episode.
I'm in.
I'm down.
I'm in, baby.
I'm in. I don't know much about hockey, but I'll figure it out.
Best hockey
Wayne
fights.
Gretzky.
Yeah, just yell parkour and Wayne Gretzky all the time.
Exactly. Sports.
And Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
So most of you guys are rocking some type of jersey here. I know you all have a favorite football team or teams. So who would that be? Let's start with you, Gums.
Yeah, so it's the Minnesota Vikings. That's my favorite football team. I'm a sucker for a team that has a really good defense. So if the Vikings lose, which they tend to do a lot, RIP to our seasons, then I usually rep like whoever usually has the best defense. I've always been kind of a defense-minded person. So I love it when a good defense can play, and I love a defense that can like hit. So it won't just be any defense. It's a defense that can really fucking cause chaos and just smack people. I think that's the most fun defense to watch.
Interesting. You don't always hear somebody like praising the defense in like a football side of it. It's always like a big portion of it. You never see someone like, let's go defense. Like,
a good defense goes a long way, and it's fun to watch them just go ham. I miss the days where you could hit somebody and not, get called for a flag.
Yeah.
True.
What about you, Kirby?
I actually grew up watching the Cowboys, which is odd because I was from New York. So I'm talking like, that like early to mid 90s era with like Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Novacek, even getting into like Deion Sanders, and I think he came in around 95. They had a solid.
How old are you?
I'm old, man. I'm old.
That's a great era for Cowboys.
Let me, put it this way. 1994, they came in with a Super Bowl win in 94, I believe was I was 10 years old. So I was old enough at that point to understand what was going on and to have been like playing like football with my friends. So I'm
That's
old.
awesome.
Here I was born.
You lived during this when your team got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say your team won a Super Bowl. I don't think the Cowboys will ever do that again.
No, probably not. No, that was like it was.
There's always gotta be one Cowboys fan.
So
Gotta be.
after I grew up a little bit, like I started, watching football with my friends and stuff. It's like my household was not a sports household. So I just kind of latched onto the Cowboys. I have no idea why. I was young, but 93, 94, 96, all Super Bowl years for them. And it was a great time. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm a fucking New Yorker. As I was getting older, I'm just gonna go with the New York teams, and I haven't been a fan of a team since. So because the Jets are
I can
trash.
see why.
I was gonna say tough life, man.
All New York teams are fucking
I will
trash.
say that I was kind of hoping to see the Bills hit the Super Bowl this year, just to have some New York representation, because they are looking good. But you know what?
Yeah.
Didn't happen. So it's next year.
Good thing
Always
we don't
next
field
year.
teams by, per capita amount of people per state, because then you might have a shot.
I know, really.
What about you, Pat?
I grew up a Charger fan for really no other reason than my dad was a Charger fan. So like you kind of it's one of those like things where like your parents are fans of certain teams, you become a fan of them as well. That's like a lot of like my sports takes early on. It's just like my family were, Dodger or Charger fans and stuff like that. And so I've since became one. So needless to say, it's been rough. It's looking better, Had that nice little heyday with LaDainian Tomlinson and Sean Merriman and Junior Seau for a little bit, right?
Yes,
great
sir.
teams. But then about 15 feet of crap, and then Justin Herbert comes onto the team. So life's getting better. We're inching our way back in there.
You are low key too. Like nobody's even paying attention to you guys, and you guys are over there winning games.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Team looks good. I think we're just a couple missing pieces away from making real runs.
Sub me and coach.
Dude, Herbert's great. So for me, I was born in Arizona, so I've always been like a Cardinals fan. But like when I was like, I think it was like 5 or 6, I moved to Nebraska for like 5 years. So there's no football team out there besides the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So I became a Nebraska Cornhusker fan. And then obviously I moved back to Arizona, went through college and high school and all that. So I became, another Cardinals fan. So I guess my teams would be the Cardinals and the Huskers because those are the 2 teams I grew up watching.
Yeah, but word is you're actually from Nevada, so we'll see. Waiting for your birth certificate to come back.
Why am I?
Ooh. Jury's out. He's
Jury's
low-key
out.
a Raiders fan. The worst kind.
I know, right? I think actually it would be worse because, my mom's from Detroit, so I could have been a Michigan fan. Could have been a Lions fan.
Ooh,
Oh, you're happy. Yeah, you're happy you're not a Lions fan.
Exactly. At this point, there's no good option. The Huskers haven't been good in years. The Cardinals blew it in the Super Bowl. Like when the only time we ever had a chance, we had like Anquan Bolden, Kurt Warner. Our team was stacked. Now we got Kyler Murray throwing it to DeAndre Hopkins, and we can't even make the playoffs.
I'll say this. If there's one state or maybe a few states there that deserve a football team, it's going to be between Iowa and Nebraska. And I think because those states all border each other, they should just drop a fucking team right in the center of those states.
Yeah.
It's called the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, no, they're trash. They're not trash, but it's not close enough. Like,
Yeah.
I just say that because like Nebraska is such a like huge football state, but they they do not have their own professional team, so everything is invested into that college. Like things shut down when the college plays, so it's just like a weird. Everything in that state is like, or I shouldn't say state, but let's be honest, there's just rows of cornfield and then there's the city. So in Omaha, everything's built around, I would say, those colleges. So they need a professional team. I'm petitioning 100,000 strong.
Super.
That is
down.
like that part of the country where it's like the town shuts down for a high school game kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's just like just a different way of looking at football.
The Cornhusker games are something else. Like I've been to a Cardinals game, I've been to a Chargers game, Eagles game, but there's nothing like that crowd. Even like when it's like negative 10 degrees outside, the place is absolutely packed, sold out, and like the loudest stadium you'll see in like the Midwest.
So you will not catch me there.
It's crazy.
I'll pass.
So continuing on with the football life here, did you guys have a favorite football movie and a top 5? Because I know there's so many good ones out there. We'll start with you again, Gums, and then go around the circle here.
Yeah. So favorite football movie of all time is probably Any Given Sunday. If for those of you that don't know, it stars Lamar Jackson. Excuse me. It actually just stars Jamie Foxx. And if anybody's seen the movie, they'll giggle at that. But it's just like, it's kind of about the dark side of sports, and it highlights more of the dark side of football and like the lifestyle outside of football. And basically this quarterback, he's really freaking good at what he does, except for he can't read a playbook. And so it kind of goes along that life. He's just this mega star and all the things that come with it. So that's my top 1. Top 5 is Any Given Sunday, The Replacement, starring Keanu Reeves. Brian's Song, that's from 1971. Gridiron Gang with The Rock, The Waterboy, which is Adam Sandler, and then Friday Night Lights, which is Billy Bob Thornton. And he gets Always Will Have My Love, since I watched Monsters Ball as a kid. Anybody that sees Monster Ball know exactly what I'm talking about. Make me feel good, baby.
Billy Bob Thornton's the absolute man. Kirby?
I gotta say Rudy. Good old Rudy. I grew up on that movie, so of course it's very nostalgic. You've got good old Samwise Gamgee playing some football.
Hey,
Samwise Gamgee.
don't do it.
But it's actually also Jon Favreau's first, like, his movie debut. So
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that either.
Fun fact.
that is his first movie. But yeah, I mean, it's that classic, like, you know, little guy underdog, you know, works his ass off and gets to play in the big game. Granted, it's
Not gonna lie, I hated Rudy. So Kirby, while I say that, I need you to fill that in at the back end and yell at me for it.
Just remember that. Take notes. You're gonna roast
Fair.
Gums
Also-
for that.
Also,
I didn't
Kirby-
like it because he gets 2 minutes at the end of the. It's like a senior night type
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
He gets like 2 minutes at the end, and the crowd goes wild as if he fucking did something.
It's
I
like
think
he gets-
you could join that team and be the fucking water boy and say, "Hey, coach, put me
yeah.
in for the last 2 minutes,"
Yeah.
and you would have the same thing.
So it sounds like my high school career, and I'm going to give you all of my high school photos that you can put as our
Oh,
backgrounds for
yeah.
the YouTube video.
Don't do
This is
it.
the new thumbnail.
Don't do it,
Yep.
Frodo Baggins.
We'll get to it a little bit later, but I do have a fun fact for Rudy. But to round out my list here, you know, we got Rudy. Remember the Titans? When I was a kid, I loved the movie Little Giants. If anybody was old enough to have seen that
Yes.
one, The Waterboy and The Longest Yard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like your taste, Brian
Yeah,
Kirby.
those are great picks right there. Pat, what do you got for us?
I'd say that my top one, I just always had a soft spot for the Waterboy. That was like that style of humor for me for a long time was just like so it for me. I thought it was hilarious. You
You
know,
look like you drink Mountain Dew.
it was funny. I actually never had a Mountain Dew until like 3-4 months ago for the first time.
You ever
And I
had
was
Baja
like,
Blast?
No, I've never had a Baja Blast. It's like
Oh.
not something that I just like. I'm never going to be a guy who is like a Mountain Dew guy. But what should I call it? Waterboy, probably top in the list for me. I'll match and say Remember the Titans is definitely one that's very nostalgic for me as well. That's just one of those ones. It's on TV. I'm going for it. Like left side, strong side all day. Like that's just gonna be something that I will always throw on when it's on TV. And I'll also say The Longest Yard for similar reasons that Waterboy is up there. Just that dumb humor.
Yeah.
That like I'm just like this is just like so funny to watch kind of thing. And it's another Adam Sandler hit that is just like it's always iconic. I'm with Gums that The Replacements is in there. That's we could talk about The Replacements too. All-star cast. Like
All-star cast.
just all-star cast
it's like
of a bunch
Fast
of
and
dudes.
Furious.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But like that's just another one. That's just another feel-good football movie. The one I'll say that I'll turn a little darker, right, is probably We Are Marshall. I loved that movie. That was a great story. I loved Matthew McConaughey in that movie. Crazy story, but based on a true story, and that's just another one that you're just like, it's such a crazy kind of history behind it and everything. I thought it was such a really cool movie.
That was a great movie.
Can you tell the viewers if they haven't seen it, like just a quick synopsis of that movie? Or like,
Yeah, it's about like the Marshall football team is the school, right? And the original team that was like this like esteemed team that like everybody really cared about. The whole team died in a plane accident, and they basically had to like afterwards. It's this big turmoil that this whole town is shaken up by it. I think it's the dean of the school is now threatening to like basically cut the program, and they bring in Matthew McConaughey as this new coach for the program. He reached out and wanted to be the coach for this program. He thought it'd be an interesting position, and he like rebuilds this roster and kind of like basically helps this team and this whole town kind of just basically rise up from like this terrible tragedy to like save the Marshall football program. And it's like this fight of like them and the team versus the dean of the school and getting the whole town kind of to rally behind them and like bring the love back to that football team. And so it's just a really great story. If anybody hasn't seen it, I really highly recommend it. It's not one like my other recommendations where you're probably gonna be laughing like this is such a dumb fucking movie. It's probably the one movie on my list where like this is a real story. That Remember the Titans are like these are stories that like you really want to watch.
for sure.
Yeah, it was a great movie. So for me, I gotta say, for my top 5, well, for my favorite one is Remember the Titans. I absolutely love that movie. Denzel Washington is probably one of my favorite actors, and just like that movie is just such a great film. We're going top 5, obviously. Remember the Titans is gonna be number 1. For number 2, Invincible. I absolutely love that movie with Marky Mark, Mark Wahlberg.
Another great story.
That was
a great
better than
story.
Rudy.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, the guy basically tries out for the Philadelphia Eagles, ends up being like a huge star for them. Pretty sure he takes them to the Super Bowl, off a couple of his plays, and it's based on a true story. So it doesn't get better than that.
Says you should try out for Kyler Murray's job. I think you got it.
Oh yeah,
Kyler's
definitely.
going open tryouts.
Yeah,
They
I might
wind
throw
up getting rid of him. You got it.
exactly. You know what? Hold some tree outs. Hold some tree outs.
Yeah, right. Hold the tree outs.
Hold the tree out. Waterboy's got to be number 3. I mean, come on, Adam Sandler. The Abdullah Oblongata.
Yeah, like football's for the devil. Come on, like.
Right? For 4, so I kind of brought this up to Pat earlier. I gotta go Ace Ventura. At its core, it's a football movie. I mean,
what?
Let me explain here. This is like his take about Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
It really is. It's in the same.
But listen
it's in the
here.
same vein.
You got Ace Ventura, who's looking for a dolphin, but the dolphin belongs to the Miami Dolphins. He has to save Dan Marino. At the end of the movie, it takes place during a football game. The whole movie is about football players. I mean, you got Finkel as Einhorn missing the field goal.
I would like to add a movie to my list. Die Hard is one of my favorite football movies.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Get the hell off the podcast.
This is the running joke
Turn
of
off
the
the
podcast.
camera. Get the hell out of here.
Go away.
It works.
I'm not
it
doing
works.
this.
Every Christmas,
Die
he
Hard is the
throws a
best.
party.
He throws-
What's synonymous with throwing a party? Throwing a football.
He does
They
throw
touch
some
down.
bombs, just not the ones we're thinking about when it comes to football.
Let's go.
Anyway,
Dan Marino's throwing
Defense
bombs
shut down
in
the
this.
whole party. They couldn't get a
yeah.
single run out of it.
Seth, I never looked at Ace Ventura that way, and you got me at a lot of 60-40 split leaning towards you right now. So I'll have to get back to you, man. And
Yeah, because if you
Interesting
think about
take.
it, I mean, it's all about football. I mean, one of the
Interesting
guy's
take,
death
dude.
is at the stadium. Like,
yeah,
It's like
damn.
it's really you like there's like your gut wants to tell you there's absolutely no way in hell that like this could
Absolutely not.
possibly fit, and I think I still have to say it's not. Like I think just like I physically can't say that it's a football movie, but I completely understand your point.
yeah.
Also,
Which is
when-
really fucking
Yeah.
with my head.
you know, when he's going through the tank and looking for some clues, that's at the football field. They're practicing behind him.
well,
There's-
it's like watching the saddest drama. It's like putting The Notebook, and then in the background of the entirety of The Notebook is nothing but war scenes. That's you know what I mean. It's just like, hey, this is a story about The Notebook, but like in the background is football shit, right? Or just like war scenes.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't. I don't know.
Doesn't compute,
It's confusing me.
It's confusing you. See, that's what we're here to do. We're here to disrupt. We're like a
like,
tech giant, but a podcast giant. We're gonna disrupt
That's
it.
great.
I was
That's
gonna-
interesting.
If Ace Ventura wasn't allowed, I was gonna say Longest Yard because I mean, come on. And then Gridiron Gang. Gotta love me some of The Rock.
I love Gridiron King. Yeah.
Yeah, Gridiron Gang.
Also
is great.
based on a similar true story.
Yeah.
I'm a very big believer
Love
that
that
Remember
movie.
the Titans kind of took Brian's song, a lot of elements from Brian's song. And Brian's song was made in 1971, and it's about NFL players kind of like fighting racism and becoming best friends at the same time, which highlights that a lot too. And Remember the Titans, where they have that whole I'm in the hospital bed, except for this time in Brian's song, Brian Piccolo is actually dying of a terminal illness, and he died at 26 with 3 children. But him and Gale Sayers, who's the guy who's played by Billy D, I think he's Billy D. They kind of it's just this epic movie about like coming together and like bonding, and their wives bond and they bond, and it's like a bunch of racism at the time, and they come closer. And then I remember the Titans, they have those similar scenes where like the dude's in the car accident, he can't play in the game, you got the strong side, it's just like, it's a cool element. I really feel like they kind of mimicked each other a lot.
I do think, like, and I think that's just something you see a lot in some of these football movies. Football movies, in so many ways, can go just like a really like two major categories. I feel like it either has to be overtly funny, and I mean like just slapstick, like almost dumb humor type of shit, like Waterboy, like dialed to 10, right? Like just go that full direction and don't come back, or you have to get really heavy, you know. And a lot of times it is off of somewhat true stories and whatnot. But like that's obviously like all usually pretty laced in there. Race is usually a pretty big factor in there, but it's like that's always kind of the core of it, right? Is like some real heavy turmoil, like players aren't getting along, it's just not working. I mean, that's like Friday Night Lights, like that's all kind of that same type of concept. I think just really has to be the at its core.
So I'm going to skip ahead to another question here because we're kind of teetering on that line here. You know, what makes a football movie, you know, like what's crucial to making a good football movie, essentially? You know, what does it really need to have, you know, the elements, things like that for it to be successful? I mean, obviously we've dealt with, like you said, the comedies, and then you have like the more serious, like really heartfelt, true, you know, heartwarming movies. So what is it that really makes that football movie so powerful? And we'll start with you, Pat.
I think specifically to your question, where like what makes it a good movie, like things that are really successful and that are like kind of timeless, win awards, those types of things. I think that I think some of the best ones that you'll ever see are usually true stories, and I think that that's something that is like we see a lot of times. Where like usually it's like that emotional background that hit kind of really anchors a lot of the movie, and it really helps carry it. But I mean, at its core, like a lot of times it's you teeter a fine line, because you can really do that copy paste of like, oh, the players aren't getting along, and now the players get along, and you know, then they win the championship game, and we all know how it's going to go, and it can kind of come out a little corny. But the best ones, your Brian songs, your Remember the Titans, your like, you know, those type, the We Are Marshalls kind of thing that come out that way are ones that are anchored and usually in some kind of true story, and then have that factor. But then you're flipping that coin. It's just like making sure you have a good director that doesn't make it come out like too copy paste almost.
Yeah.
Good points.
I personally, for me, I really like the it's the underdog story. You know, it's got to have, you know, that kind of like almost like redemption element to it, where like you have this down and out team, and they really kind of like they make the changes, like you have the training montages, and you know they take it to the big game, and usually they win. Not always, but usually.
Right.
So it's the heart of the story, you know, just kind of showing, you know, what can happen when you put your mind to it. So that's kind of what is really big for me. It's just showing that story and that journey for the players.
Yeah. Gums.
Yeah. So on my side of things, I think it's just got to be authentic to what it is. Like Pat kind of mentioned, like, hey, like, look at the Waterboy, but you know, the Waterboy is very freaking authentic to what it was. It knew that it was going to play funny. It knew that it was going to be absurd, but it also still respected the sport. So it wasn't like, I mean, he was out there doing crazy stuff, but it's all stuff we may have thought like, hey, we want to do. Like, we want to drop kick somebody. We want to do that. And I grew up playing. Yeah, I grew up playing football. So for me, what's really huge is like the choreography in it. If you've got excellent choreography, I think the movie succeeds. Where I see really bad sports movies comes in the choreography, and you'll see it. You'll see like, oh, they just used that same scene from a different angle to score that touchdown twice, right? Or, oh, that guy fell and he juked him like 5 feet before that. Like, it's just super corny. The jerseys are like super unauthentic. There's like if it's a high school movie, you see like a 35-year-old adult suited up in the background as an extra. Like, I need to see like authenticity and really great choreography. And if I can see those things, the rest of it can play to whatever it wants. And most of them do very good. Like, football is a very physical sport. Now we know about CTE. So this is where they get these connotations and these assumptions of why football players are the way they are. Probably because they're, you know, it's a lot of mental hardships in that game and a lot of pain and stuff. And so for me, if it sticks true to what it wants to be, but then it has to have the choreography and that authenticity. I don't like corny shit like that when it comes to sports movies. Like, I want to see somebody get dunked on, or if he hits a home run, that actor needs to hit the home run and record it. Like, I need to see that. So
yeah, like how often do you see that where it's like the quarterback's in the pocket for like an hour and a half and then throws the freaking touchdown? You're like, dude, who's playing defense? Like,
right.
Like, what's going on?
And
or
if you look, it's just like, what the fuck am I? What is that?
Yeah. So, and I definitely get that, and I like how you, because that was in a similar vein. You're right. Like that's why I always really like the ones that were rooted in a true story, because it's very. I think it's a lot easier because now you've taken a lot of your storyboarding kind of like out of the way. You know what's going on. And so you can focus a little bit more on some of those little details that people are really going to care about. But I do like your point about how the Waterboy, even though it's played for comedy and it's over the top, still found a way to feel authentic in itself. Mm-hmm. Like, because that's another way, I guess that's why it's in almost all of our top fives, right? Because like, even though it is played overdone for comedy, and that maybe wasn't my criteria for like the best football movies, it still felt real. It felt good enough to be that's still a top 5 movie for me in football. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's fun. I think it's cool how that plays out actually.
I mean, take like the movie The Longest Yard. We'll take the most recent one, not the old one. So the one with like Nelly and like all these guys in it, and then Adam Sandler, this one. And I want you to look at it because, if you watch it, it's actually a comedy. Mm-hmm. You see this, it's about a guy in prison who's like going to play against the guards, but you see how gritty it gets. And all of a sudden it goes from comedy into like this gritty, heartfelt drama when Caretaker dies. And like, you just got like all these rings of emotions, but guess what? That's still a comedy, but it knows what it was. And it gave us authentically that. It didn't try to be something it wasn't. And then the choreography in that movie was actually great. Like Nelly was fucking people up. Cheeseburger Eddie was dancing his ass off. Like we just had really good scenes that seemed authentic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you took people who like clearly didn't know how to play football and like they're prisoners. They were never going to know how to play football, and you made them look like idiots. Like that was what that would have happened with, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then you brought in the big guns and they knew how to play. So it's like, it felt more like, like this is how this would progress if like this were to quote unquote happen, like just played up for comedy.
I got the fries that cross your eyes. The shakes that make you quake. I just got burgers. I just got burgers. That movie is great. I honestly feel the same to most of your guys' points, especially to what Kirby said about it having heart. I feel like my top picks were all based on true stories. Invincible, Remember the Titans, Gridiron Gang. And I feel like they all have a heart at the middle. They're all fighting for something. And I think that's really what, makes a good football movie is the story behind it. Obviously, with Waterboy, it is, true to being football and it's not trying to do something else. But I feel like for a good football movie, most of the ones that are decent, it just has to have that feeling of there's, a mission and they kind of can get through that together, and it's like we're along the journey with them, if that makes sense. We're all together for the ride. So
we're here for you, Brian.
It's okay. We're gonna get through this.
We'll get through
the
this
underdog
together.
always comes out on top.
Exactly.
So going back to some of our favorites, do you guys have a favorite football TV show? I know there's been quite a few out there, and I wanted to separate it from the movies because, like I said, there's quite a few. So we'll start with you, Gums.
Yeah, there's only one, sir. I'm just going to end this here. It's called Ballers, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. If you guys say anything else, I won't listen, and I just want to tell all the viewers that. Thank you.
Fair.
Full stop. That's
full stop. Period.
Full stop. Okay, cool.
Ballers is fire as shit. So.
It's a great show. Great show.
Denzel's kid. Ricky.
I've never actually watched this show, but I also don't really watch a lot of TV at this point in my life. So the only football show that I can ever remember watching is this show called Coach in the mid '90s, and it had Craig T. Nelson. It was a comedy, and it would come on during the day when I was homesick. And it was the only football show I've ever watched in my life.
Interesting.
I think you got 3 blank faces over here.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out
Look it up.
No,
it's a thing.
I'm blank. I know what you're talking about because I got Google.
Because I got Google.
I got Google.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I was born in 91. I don't know.
I didn't look up Craig T. Nelson. I was like, who the fuck is he name dropping?
Dude, you said that too. I was like, wait, what?
But then as soon as I seen him, yeah.
You know.
As soon as I seen him, I'm like, this is the legendary Craig T. Nelson. No doubt.
Does the Rugrats have a football episode? I feel like that would be
Rugrats have a football. You know, that would have been more my era at the time.
What about you, Pat?
I mean, it's Blue Mountain State, you know?
Let's go.
It's got to be Blue Mountain State, you know? And it plays into that same kind of concept, right? It's pretty authentic in and of itself. You get the backup quarterback in college that's just trying to party his ass off. Like, that's the whole premise of the show. You get into some hijinksy bullshit that's like played out to 10. Thad Castle is the overdone linebacker captain that's just trying to make it to the NFL. He's juicing, doing drugs, doing crazy shit. Like, it's just too fun to watch. I never watched the movie that they wanted to make it about it, but the show that they did was great. It was timeless, and I think I was at the age too where I was getting ready to go into college too. So I was like, yeah, let's go, college guy. But it's just a fun show.
That
show
show
was
is
a show
great.
of stereotypes for sure.
Yeah, that show
1000%. This is the most inappropriate goddamn show that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Right? But
Okay.
It was great.
I gotta interject here for a second before I give my 2 cents. But Thad Castle is the man, and he has a new show out called Reacher, which is like Jack Reacher, and it looks like that dude ate Thad Castle. Dude got freaking yoked.
Yeah, you've been pitching that one to us for a couple weeks. I still gotta get on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a little bit behind. Yeah,
It's honestly super good, and they just renewed it for season 2, so I'm stoked. But dude, Blue Mountain State, the GOAT. I mean, that whole show, the movie was horrible that they did.
Oh, it was.
It was so bad.
I didn't watch it.
Pretty sure it's on Netflix. I had Blue Mountain State up there, but if I'm picking one, it's got to be Friday Night Lights. I mean, Kyle Chandler, Taylor Kitsch, freaking Tim Riggins, and Saracen. Got Connie Britton in that show, Minka Kelly. I mean, it's an all-star cast, and it was fantastic.
I did not know that. I did not know that that Thad played, or Thad Castle. Yeah, like I didn't know he was in Blue Mountain State.
Yeah, he was like one of the main characters.
That's the character, right? In Blue Mountain State.
Yeah, Thad Castle is the character. Yeah,
I didn't know that he was the same guy from Reacher. That is so fucking funny. I'm glad you brought up that interesting fact.
Oh,
that is great.
It's great.
Bro, the actor who plays the guy in Reacher ate Thad Castle, bro. Dude, like look at a side by side photo, and this dude got yoked.
Yeah, Alan Richards is the actor. Yeah, I mean, he just got older. You know, when you get older, he just had dad strength. And so he just was like, yo, twice the size.
What happens when you have 3 kids? That's what you get to look forward to, Gums.
Hell yeah.
Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this episode of the Rolling Credits podcast. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please drop us a like, hit that subscribe button. If you are listening to the audio only version of this podcast, please consider giving us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. Now, let's keep it rolling.
I guess since we're already talking about kids, got an important question. Would you guys let your kids or your future kids play football? Obviously, there's so much more development into, whether it destroys your brain, different things like that. But would you feel okay letting your kids play football? And we'll start with you, Gums.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it 100%. Like, if they want to play it, let's play it. I think safety protocols have gone way up. Like, man, I can't tell you how many times I've banged my head and scraped my knees. And I think football just does something for you where it builds a lot of character. It builds a lot of friendships and bonds too, because the friends that suffer together usually stay together. So typically those teams and those people you meet on those teams or in those types of activities where they're really grueling, those are the people you usually keep around. I mean, the Army uses the same tactic. They basically beat you into a pulp with other people, and then you end up latching onto those people because you have to trust them to have your back. It's really the same thing. But yes, I'm totally okay with my son or my daughter wanting to play football. They don't have to just play like the hitting positions. Like, I love to get out there and hit people and express. But I'm going to tell you right now, in the NFL, there are long snappers that can make $5 million a year. So 100%. That person, all they do is snap the ball. Okay, so if it doesn't have to just be about banging your head, but safety has gotten so much better that I'm totally okay with it if that's what they want to do. And most likely I'll probably force my kid to play it for a few years to build character anyway. So,
Yeah. Kirby?
I mean, yeah, if they want to, I wouldn't have a problem with it. As Gum said, it really, it develops character. It helps them find, that sense of just where they are in the world. And it helps forge, friendships and shows that they can, operate on a team level. So I think it's good to have that sort of structure when you're younger. So yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it'd be kind of weird to see my kid go into a pro level situation. That's when it gets a little more dangerous, but it's on them if they want to.
Well, if my future kid ever makes it to like any pro sport, it'll be like history in the making.
They're gonna look at him like, you're gonna need to get like a DNA test on that one. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
that ain't my kid.
I'll say this. I didn't think about that, Curbs. I think the scariest time for me is actually probably going to be like high school and college when my kid plays.
High school, college, for sure.
Because you're not playing for much at that age. Mm-hmm. If he's in the pros, he's got money, and he's got like the best medical staff, and maybe in college he'll have a decent medical staff. But in high school, you're just playing to go to college, and in college you're forced to play to go to the pros. So like, there's a big gap there where like you're risking it all for potential payouts. So that's a good point you brought up, man. I didn't think about that. You also
have these big egos too at that age. You think you're invincible, so it's like, if you're not really disciplined in itself in your techniques and stuff like that, it can get really, really dangerous at like some of those ages where you play a little fast and loose,
That brings up a good point too with that. There was that Netflix show, I forgot what they called it, but it was about like the independence, like that JUCO college football team, and like
Last Chance U.
Yeah, Last Chance U. That show was fantastic, but that dealt with a lot of things like that, where it was like, I forgot which person it was, but it was a QB that transferred there that just kept getting into like trouble, and like his ego kept getting the best of him. But he could have been an all-star. I mean, he played at Louisville, and then his ego took over, and he kind of just like fizzled out.
Yeah, that's parenting. That's fucking parent. That's when when the kid has all his life got everything he's has always been bigger than everybody else, because these are athletes, right? Typically they're bigger than everybody. So typically they can tell a kid of their age something and they're going to do it for him, right? And then on top of that, they're really good at sports. So we fantasize about that. And so they start looking up to those people, right? So it's like that kid had never been told no in his life. And the first time he starts getting no's, that kid started shutting down. So big lesson out there, hopefully to all the parents. Decisions, kids are okay to make some decisions, but there's certain times where you got to shut that little bastard down and tell him what's what, because it can very much hurt their futures.
Don't be Jackson Mahomes, everyone. What about you, Pat?
So growing up, my mom didn't want me to play contact football. We were a big sports family. Year round, I cycled the seasons. So I'd play like the Little League baseball season that went to ASO soccer, that went into, hockey season. And then at a certain age, I got older and I started just playing water polo and baseball. But my mom never wanted me to play contact football. She put me in some flag football leagues at a younger age and stuff, because she was already scared of that, in like 2002, But that being said, at its core, the lesson I was learning from those sports, and we've already kind of brought it up, was like how to live in a team environment, right? So like, I do really value that time in me playing team sports. And so I don't know if I would necessarily say that just because of that, I wouldn't tell my kid that he can play contact football at a young age, and if he loved it, go on to play later on in high school and collegiate levels and whatnot. And plus too, the same, different edge of the sword. I'm really into jiu-jitsu now, and I'm a big UFC fan. If my kid wanted to get into that and then maybe develop a love for MMA and want to go into striking, is that any better of me as a parent to say, no, you couldn't play contact football, but if you want to get kicked in the face a bunch of times a day, that's in the same card. You're good. So it's one of those things that, like, I grew up a big proponent of team sports and just sports in general, and being involved in that to make friends and grow connections and learn how to interact with other human beings and whatnot. So I don't think that would ever be something that I would tell my kid, no, you can't do this. But and to Gums' point, I think it is a lot safer than it was in 2001.
I just find that so weird. Like, if you're a parent out there, maybe we need to have somebody write in. But if you're a parent out there that won't let them play contact football, but yet lets them play hockey, I got like a bunch of research for you, because you're going about 30 miles an hour on skates. Okay, you're going about 30 miles an hour on skates. You got probably less gear on, or close to the same gear as football, except for I can check you into a board and I can crush your ankles, and like there's blades out there. You know what I mean? Like, I can do it, you know. So
only thing I will say on that subject was when I was playing the younger youth league ages. I think it's like not until you're like 13 or 14 in those youth leagues, you're not allowed to check. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're not allowed to check. You're not allowed to hit it into the boards, and all that kind of stuff. So there is kind of that like weird little aspect of it. I didn't really play long enough later on to like kind of really make more educated calls about that in terms of like the high school ages and stuff. That kind of fizzled out for me. But and look, I'm a hockey fan out here too in Vegas, and whatnot. I know it's violent. I know that's crazy and stuff too. They do have a lot of notes out there, though. They say I think it's like annual concussion protocols though are much higher in the NFL than they are in the NHL. But I do think that's because at that level in the NHL, people know how to fall better. They know how to take hits better, and like that's actually a real thing. Learning how to like get hit and like hit the boards and not like whiplash or like not you learn those things better. And it's not that NFL players don't, but it's just I think it's harder to control at that level. Like it's much harder, especially in
I would love to highlight. Somebody probably needs to also highlight NHL for this, because dude, NHL some tough SOBs, man. Yeah. Like here, I'm gonna put it out here, and this is gonna sound so stereotypical, but if the NFL is rap, hockey is country, and they're both some of the toughest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. Like I grew up in Minnesota, so it's a big hockey state. Everybody that played football typically played hockey. I don't play hockey. It's an expensive sport if anybody looks it up.
That's why I got out of it. It's too expensive.
It's a very expensive sport. But at the same time, like, dude, the hockey players were just a savage group of boys with getting their teeth knocked out. Now, that's the 90s, early 2000s. Maybe it's changed, and I forgot about that rule about not checking till later, which I don't know, man. I feel I kind of like it. I understand it, but you have like 4 years of like, hey, we got to learn how to check, and we got to learn how to fall, and we got to learn how to do this. True. Otherwise we're hurt. Whereas the other side, it's the whole time is like you're learning that as you progress, and you're taking different impact levels. But yeah, man, really good points. I just wanted to like put that out there that like, I would bring like the hockey as well, man, because I guarantee those tough SOBs just aren't saying anything, man. They're just not. You can't be getting teeth knocked out and then not have concussions and not have CTEs, man.
I will say too, just kind of going full circle to your original point about you're letting your kid play hockey but not football. There's a lot of sports too, just in general, that I would still say that about, like, and whatnot. Even just like like I grew up a surfer and whatnot, and like at its core, like I was going out paddling out in very large waves at like 9 years old, and like the ocean is fucking dangerous and whatnot. Sharks. And so like that kind of stuff too is like there's a lot of stuff across almost all sports. I grew up playing water polo too, that like people are getting punched in the face and taking elbows and doing and trying to drown people and stuff like that. So like you can always make that argument for another sport. So I think that kind of goes back full circle to why am I not letting my kid play football? Like, try and teach safe behaviors and try and be as precautionary as you can and understand your risks and take that for what it is. But, at the end of the day, there's always going to be risks.
I think Brian would just say it's because of insurance. Nobody wants to take their kid to the fucking hospital. This shit's outrageous. Limit his injuries.
Before I get to my take here, I just want to like backstep for 1 second and point out the fact that Pat said that his kid could fight and play football. Your kid's going to be the star of, Never Back Down 2, okay?
3. They made it 2.
Yeah. They already made sequels, but they were trash, so we're just going to cast your future kid.
Can Curbs be the trainer?
What's that?
Yes.
Can Curbs be the trainer?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm definitely casting Kirby to be my kid's cornerman in his future Never Back Down movie.
What does that make me and Gums, though?
Me, I'm just happy to be there.
Am
I'm
I
going along for the
the
ride. I don't got to be nobody important.
Gums is fighting my kid. He's the champion.
Just
He's
some
the other
old
side of the
hairy
corner.
I'll be,
Seth, you're cornering Gums. That's what's going
There we
on.
go.
There you go.
So I'll be Evan Peters, his
Yeah,
character.
pretty much.
He just gets the shit beat out of him. So
Seth's going to be like, my whole family's here. Don't let us down.
well,
Just out of 50-year-old man fighting fucking Pat's child. Like, what the fuck?
It's just like some 19-year-old in his prime or some shit.
He's like, yo, you're going to beat his ass.
I don't even have to be here.
You're like a minus 500 favorite. You better beat the fuck out of him.
I got money on this.
I'm just gonna show up one day, your future kids tournament. There he goes. I think, I mean, I kind of am in similar boat with all of you guys. So I lived in a household where like you had to have an after school activity. Like you aren't allowed to come home right after school. So that meant I played football, but my football coach was also my wrestling coach and my track coach. So pretty much I was covered for all of the seasons. And to one of the points that you guys said earlier, where it was like, there's so many other sports that you get hurt. I got hurt in wrestling way more times than I did in football. Like
100%.
I tore a ligament in my foot because the guy literally just put all of his freaking body weight just right on top of it. Like, dude, wrestling was intense. That was for sure harder than football, I thought.
Yeah, I'd argue your knees get more fucked up in wrestling than a lot of times in
Yeah.
football. Like,
Dude,
your knees
everything.
get shot.
There was a teammate that I had, we would like practice, and he was known. So like the dude had like a bony ass like wrist, and he would literally just drag it across like people's faces, and that shit just hurt so much, dude. That was the worst.
Effective if you're taking the back. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Don't take the back.
yeah.
That reminds me, one time I picked up sand in a football game as a kid. And I yelled gold dust, and I blew it. and it wasn't like at anybody. It was just like after like a play, you know, just because it was fucking hilarious. But if anybody
That's
knows
some
what gold
longest
dust
yard
is-
shit.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is.
it was so funny.
Surprised you didn't yell pile driver next.
No.
Just throw somebody.
I had my moments. Brian,
But-
did you go too? Did you say if your kid could play or not?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you went.
Okay.
I was the last one here. But yeah, my future kid can play whatever sports he or she desires. Or they.
Yeah, I'll coach him. I have
Yeah.
some coaching tenure. I coached some
Coach
children's
Gums.
sports.
We're gonna attend your training camps in the summer.
There you go.
Yeah, they're actually very vicious. If you let me coach kids, I coach them like they're young adults.
I mean, I'll tell you. I know you practice football in the winter, bro. Making us do suicides with full pads after lifting weights in the middle of this 120-degree weather was literally a nightmare. And then
Yeah,
we
that's probably
also
abuse.
borderline was, because then like the football coach, who was also the wrestling coach, would have our conditioning wrestling coach have us go hike Camelback. I don't know if I don't think, I'm sure you've hiked it, Gums. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but it's a tough mountain here in Phoenix, and they would have us run up one side and run down the other and then go back up and down in the middle of fucking summer.
Yeah, it's actually really dangerous. On top of that, though, it makes sense because wrestling coaches are crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're like military men too, so it's even scarier because they don't care about you. They think it's funny to watch you suffer. It's just like a weird. They're like, I'm gonna make do unto you as others have done unto me, and then it's a cycle of oppression.
Shout out Coach Tillett. If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure to check out my movie and TV show review page called According to Seth. So it's According to Seth, and I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for some more amazing content and some fun clips. So make sure you stop by. So obviously, you know, like kids today, or not kids, I should say, athletes today, and you know, the NFL and things like that in college have to worry about CTE and things like that. So do you think with football today, where it's headed, where it's being safer, do you think, you know, it's worth the money knowing the risk and dangers? Do you think it would be worth it knowing, you know, the possible outcome? And I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but we'll start with you, Gums.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, is it worth it to get into your car every day on a busy highway and go to work? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the odds are always going to be there, you know? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, this is increased odds of having this type of thing happen to you, CTE and all that. Look, nothing is safe. You can't live in a bubble. that's not how the world works. People are getting hit with different diseases and different things and endings of life every day over the simplest of things. So I'd be one to say that, yeah, football can be worth the money if you find yourself, one, loving it, love the competition, and then want that to be your goal. Because I'll tell you one thing, kids go to college nowadays and have always gone to college to have a job. So I assume that athletes are going to college to then become professional athletes. And I know we have this saying in America, well, school's first. And I kind of want to call BS on most of that, because I think you can always go back to college, especially if you're a millionaire. Okay, so I want to just say, like, I think it would be worth the risk and dangers like anything else in this world that you find that you love. Like, there's a lot of things that you risk every day that you don't even realize and don't even notice. And I think, yes, it's worth it. We do need to work on those contracts, though, because NBA players are making stupid money compared to football, and football is such a damaging sport. So.
Yeah, and money wise, we're it's like it's one of those things like it inches forward, but it only inches forward like positionally, right? Like it's like your top QBs, yeah, they're making NBA money. They want to make kind of that kind of money, but like your offensive lineman's not making that kind of money, and and your offensive lineman's taking damage to his whole body almost every play.
Most of them can't walk after they reach a certain age.
Yeah. So like it is something that like that's where it needs to get better. And it is tough, watching guys that in the NBA that have been playing for 15 years still making more money than some of these positional players in football. Like that's a really good point on that one as well.
Yeah, I personally think that running back should probably be one of the highest paid positions, simply because every time they get the ball, they're getting hit. Like that is a hit almost 2 out of the 4 plays you run for every first down type of thing. Those guys should be making the most, but QB kind of controls the offense, etc.
I think it's inevitable that your QB is going to make the most money. I think it's more of the rest of the standard just needs to get raised. Like just across the board around, but
equal pay.
And like wideouts are starting to get paid more and whatnot a little bit as well as they get more value. And you're seeing running backs get paid less as you see more of these quarterbacks kind of turn to be more out of pocket guys and really dynamic pass run plays and whatnot. You see running backs get paid less, and to your point, it is like, fuck, why am I going to be a running back now? I can be a wideout or a quarterback and make fucking bank.
I wouldn't be surprised also if you've seen a lot of the defensive players start to make less, because it's such an offensive-minded league. Like, everything's based to help the offense, to score points, to sell tickets, because the fans love to see the score. Right? Yeah. So the more that you're limited on defense, I could see their salaries start to drop, because you can just put any Joe Schmo. Trust me, my Vikings have done it for years and years in that fucking position and just play the football game with a average player back there.
No. Kirby, what do you think?
I mean, shit, if they want to pay me a couple million a year, I'll take whatever shots I need
Let's
to.
go, Curbs.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. I mean, let's
you can
just
be a kicker, a long snapper.
I mean, throw me in a running back, tight end position. Give me a couple million a year. I'll do it. I'll do what needs to be done. Yeah, I'm for it.
I like it.
Yep.
What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I think for a lot of my point is very similar to Gums in that, but and from a money perspective, it is you're looking at it from is we all know that there's going to be a risk assumed with playing football, as is any other sport in that sense. I will say, even though it is far from perfect, the game of football has changed a lot since like 1999, right? Where like you see these highlight reels of people just like crown of the helmet clocking people.
John Lynch.
And that's just like, and that's where we saw a lot of that kind of come to. Like I said, you see so much more of like these dynamic passers. There are rules that are, whether you're for it or not, like the reality is there's a lot of rules now that do protect offensive players from hits like that more often than not. Now, like I said, is it perfect? No, and it still happens all the time. People get cracked, but I think too, as you see it like go on and go, they should be trying to iron out that process as much as possible. I know that there's not a lot of people that do disagree with that, and I completely understand their points. I'm simply making the point that it is, if you're going to do it, now's more the time versus 20 years ago. And there is always going to be that risk associated with it, and just learning. But at the end of the day, like you said, you're making a Tom Brady contract. When he went to the Bucks, like, fucking sign me up. And some of these wideouts making millions of dollars. Yeah, I'm playing.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you guys too. Like, I mean, throw me in, coach. Put me in. I will say too, with a lot of the changes, I'm pretty sure they announced earlier this year that college athletes can actually start to make revenue now too.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is huge, because I feel like college athletes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I feel
like they should have. Which kind of sucks for like Reggie Bush, because he got fucked with the like Heisman Trophy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he tried to get it back.
Yeah,
that
they
was a big
still
story.
said no.
They said no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's not legal then; it's legal now. It's the same thing with like marijuana, right? Like, hey, let's release these guys out of these prisons for non-violent crimes. Like, let's get these fucking things out of here.
Yeah.
And then you got these college kids who are just basically free slave labor, and I'm gonna say it how it is, because it's like they're making that institution stupid boatloads of money, and they will receive nothing for it.
Yeah.
You know. Until now. So now all my kids got to go to college and play sports, because we need to get Papa needs some revenue.
Yeah.
We're trying to pay off our own college. Okay, we're not trying to,
I'm part of that generation that's fucked with the college. Yeah,
Listen.
I'm fucked with debt. I'm from that generation. So look here, son. Like, we're gonna need you to step it up and do something different. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
we need
saying,
residuals.
I want the NCAA football game back. That's all I care about.
Oh, I missed that
I think they are working on that. I thought EA came out and said they were going to start working on that franchise again.
Shit, they better be.
Fun fact, that is where I learned the scientific periodic table, from that video game. Because you had to take college tests and quiz to increase your stats. And one of them was like science. So if you took science, it increased certain stats. So on this pizza box that I had, I would write down the answers, and it was like, what does C stand for? And I'd look at my pizza box and go carbon. And then I would answer the question. So I actually learned the table from, at least a lot of the tables.
Listen, if you learned,
hilarious.
If you learned the periodic table from that, Kirby learned, guitar from Guitar Hero. So,
well, you never know. I mean, you never know, dude. People are talented that way.
I've never played Guitar Hero in my life, so.
He's like, I want to axe that right now. Let's be perfectly fucking clear.
That game was legit, because I can't play guitar, and it made me feel like I could. So
yeah, finger dexterity over everything. Man.
Yeah. I think, who else do we have left, or that was everybody?
Oh, we're all in on that last question. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So then the next thing I have, if you could play football, professionally in the NFL, what position do you want to play, and what team you playing for? Who you want drafting you? We already know Gums, or you want the Vikings, but what do you want to play?
Yeah, I'm going to play quarterback for them. If they're giving Kirk Cousins $90-some million over 3-4 years, they're going to pay me in spades. My smart-ass answer, though, would want to be like, dude, I'll just be this long snapper and make $5 million a year. Or how about a kicker? They make decent money, and then I don't have to get beat up all the time. I only got one job. I don't even have to run. Like, I don't have to do shit with the team, nothing.
It's a lot of pressure.
But if I want to make the big bucks, I'm going QB. I think it's hot. It's a very stressful position. You're always going to be blamed for anything you do. But that's why you make so much money. And I'd love to set records as a Minnesota QB. I think that'd be a blast.
There you go.
I like that. What about you, Kirby?
Well, I mean, going with the New York teams, I'm going to have to get drafted by the Jets. And
God, bye, Kirby.
I'm going to go ahead and just take the QB position, because I don't feel like I could do a worse job. So I'm going to turn this team around.
Real low bar. That's the one team you wouldn't want to do that for. You're gonna get clocked all fucking day.
Sorry, I'm kind of a big dude. Like I'll be all right.
Yeah. And then when Aaron Donald comes for your ass,
so are they, Brian.
Sorry, if they're drafting me, I'm just gonna make sure they're drafting like a good O line, and
they're gonna be like, Brian Kirby. Brian Kirby, average 40 time, Tom Brady-esque. IQ, though, very high, very astute. 40
Yes.
out of 40 on the test.
Yes.
This guy knows his stuff.
I can read that play that's coming. I just can't do anything to stop it because my offensive line sucks.
They're gonna have a movie about you, Curb, and it'll be sci-fi, and it just shows you how every play, because of your intelligence, it just slows down everything that's happening, and you just start calculating physics and routes, and like he'll be here in 2.1 seconds. The defender will be here in 1.3. I must juke left first and then throw.
It's like the limitless
Actually,
of
that's a
football
sick movie.
players.
Somebody should make that.
Yeah, it's gonna be that meme of like, you know, all the equations going off.
Yeah. There's Zach
It's like
Galifianakis in The
sacked.
Hangover. Yeah.
It's like
You can't
sacked
do worse
every
than the
play.
butt fumble, okay? You can't do worse than the butt fumble.
True.
I could.
Facts.
Fair. Fair.
You
can
don't
do
have
it.
much competition, so you'll be fine. What about you, Pat?
Dude, I'm playing kicker 10 times out of 10. Give me my Pat McAfee story arc. 100%. I'm trying to rake in casual money, not do shit, and be known in the locker room as the guy that I want to grab a beer with after the game.
Can you be
that
like a
is my-
super aggressive kicker, Pat?
Yeah,
one that talks nothing
I
but
wanna be
shit to the other team,
yeah,
and like
I want to talk mad shit. I want to get hyped on like a 25-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking fist pumping, like getting stoked, like the same way if I'm like on the 2-yard line kicking the field goal or the 50. Like doesn't matter.
I want you to like run up
What
the players like Matthew Stafford, my ass.
Yeah, like fucking like boasting like big chesting like the defensive line on
Yeah.
special teams. Like
Every,
to just
uh,
be
people.
alive. Like,
Every field goal has a flag for unnecessary roughness from the kicker.
oh yeah,
From the kicker.
we're chalked on kickoff, but I'm doing that too. So fuck it, it's on me.
What team?
I would love that.
I mean, for the Chargers, they got
Chargers?
shit special teams anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love that, like an over aggressive kicker who's just a stud, but always like fights the defense and like it's just
Yeah.
bigger than life. I would love that.
who was that guy that was the kicker for the Raiders for a few years that was like dancing on the field after every field goal and stuff? He doesn't play anymore. It was like a couple of years ago. I can't remember. The Raiders had this kicker that like he wasn't like aggressive, but he was just like a clown on the field. Everybody loved him. He was a punter. Sorry.
It was
But
punter. It was
yeah,
something
he's-
King, I think. Something King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, Marquise King, I think it was, or something like
Marquise, yep.
that. Yeah. Let me
That'd
that
have been
guy.
fun. He's like the Michael Vick of kickers. It was weird. It was great. He's like sprinting
Yeah.
around, throwing passes. He's just an elite athlete that just was like, I'm gonna play kicker, motherfucker. Like that's what it was. He was
Yeah.
an elite athlete
Smart-
who just decided to
smart
play
man.
kicker.
If he could have
So-
stuck it out, that would have been a fucking smart move. Boy.
It was basically Pat. It's basically who's Pat's archetype. He's
Yeah.
like, I just want to be
That's
as a
my
supreme
story
athlete,
arc.
but just play kicker.
Yes.
That's a good story arc, but you know, if I'm playing in the NFL, mine's gonna be a little bit better because I want to be linebacker and I want to play for the Cardinals. I want to hit some people. I want to get out there and just get out there. I want to get after it.
You got something pent up there. You're holding some stuff back. You good?
Like,
I'm
Okay,
a
what-
non-violent person, but
What
wanna
would you
play-
yell? Like, what would you yell to hype yourself up as you're running in to tackle, like
Bro,
Dalvin
I'm just-
Cook? Like,
I'm
what are
just
you
like
yell? Like, what you're doing? What are you doing here?
I'm just replaying "Till I Collapse" by Eminem in my head.
I love
Why?
that.
See,
What's your,
I
what's
just-
your post-hit shit talking?
oh, I just want to see this scene of like, you know, Seth getting ready to go and just takes off the line, Mazel tov, and like hits somebody.
And that's how you get hammered, Hebrew style.
You piece of... No, I'm just kidding. You just got hammered, bitch.
Hebrew hammer. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh my god.
Oh
Hi,
yeah, just-
motherfucker.
that would be the greatest,
Just stand
bro.
over him like,
Lime, and
yes.
just walk away. Oh, that would be great.
The press conference
Honestly,
from the other
legend.
team. He's like, dude, this linebacker said the weirdest shit to me all game.
What does Laheim mean? I keep looking behind me. I didn't know what he was saying.
It's L'chaim, first of all.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Say it right. You're .2 Ashkenazi, Gums.
I'm sorry, I didn't have enough phlegm to pronounce it correctly.
My bad.
I'll go get congested and come back. My bad.
Jesus Christ.
Congested.
Just come give me a hug. I'll give it to you. You know,
I feel like I'm being
good.
attacked for my Judaism. Screw you guys.
Oh Lord, this guy's modern day cancel culture. Watch out, podcast viewers, right into us.
Stay off your high
You want to
horse
hear
there,
more?
buddy.
But yeah, so I'm playing linebacker and I'm hitting some motherfuckers. So yeah, I did play defensive end in high school. So
There you go.
with my short ass, I could just get off the line very fast. And you know, my only tackle that got recorded was because I got tripped, and then I also tripped the running back. So
That is legendary shit.
There you go.
yep. Bet
My
you guys
man
didn't know that. There's a
tripped.
little fun fact for you.
Then trip the running back. But if you wouldn't have tripped, would you have gotten the running back?
No, absolutely not. I tripped, and then I tripped him, and then I heard my name get called, and I didn't even think I did anything, and I got up, and I looked to my left, and he was on the ground.
The proudest crowd ever right there at that moment.
They were pretty proud
Seth, he
because I was
did
like borderline. I mean, I was the bench, so I was not good at football. It's just that's why I said if my future kid is good at sports, it's not mine.
You test it tomorrow.
This kid comes out browner than me. He's like, he still might be mine. Let's see how he does at sports.
We're going to see how this goes.
Let's just see how he
That
does
sounds
at
like-
sports.
That's a Jason Richardson to Steve Nash. Didn't that happen?
Yeah. What?
So, the next, fun topic we got here. You can make one trade if you're a GM of your favorite football team. Who would you trade for? Like, what are you getting rid of, and who do you want? So we're gonna start with you, Gums. Who are the Vikings getting?
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of Kirk Cousins for some cap space. I'm going to trade him for actually, I'll do Kirk Cousins. It'll be one trade. If it was one trade, it'd be Kirk Cousins and all the O-line for the Indianapolis Colts O-line and whatever quarterback they'd give me for that. I think they have a superior O-line, and that's what we need for us. If it's a pure one-for-one trade, then I get rid of Kirk Cousins, and I will take Deshaun Watson. I want him because I think he'll mix things up. I think Massage Envy will have a blast with him, and I just think we can get him for cheap.
Massage Envy, bro. Come on.
The problem is, I think that's a good trade.
It's a great trade.
That's the problem. I think it's a really good trade. I mean, you
problems
should
here.
if you're the Texans because you have to absorb all that cap space. But
He may or may not go to jail mid-season. Find out.
There you go.
That's a good trade. What about you, Kirby? Who you getting?
All right. Well, if I were running the Jets, I would trade away the entire starting offense and just get Josh Allen.
Let's go. It's just Josh Allen out there with fucking practice dummies. Like, hey, block for me, bro.
Yeah, he will just have those fucking those little dummies on the rails out there just blocking
here's the
for
magic
him.
question. Is that a 1-to-1 trade? Because I think it kind of is.
Pretty much, yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
I think it
that's
is.
the thing. That's
Value
fair.
for value.
That to me is a fair trade. Like Josh Allen is this extremely athletic giraffe. Like he will be out there just fucking running over people. Like he doesn't need an offensive line. It's just him and some
Here's
special
the bigger
teams.
question. Here's the bigger question. Do the Bills get screwed in that trade?
Yes.
Yes.
Do the Bills actually lose out on this trade?
They lose that trade.
New York Jets, if you're listening to this, we're so sorry,
I'm sorry.
that your culture is that way. We do hope you get better soon. We'll send get well soon cards.
Gums, you're cutting out
yeah.
there, buddy.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
cutting
you're
out
good.
Gums.
You were
Oh,
cutting
sorry.
all the way
You
out.
guys can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just telling the Jets we'll send them get well soon cards.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, but your team's trash. It's not good.
How do you say you're trash without saying you're trash?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go to the Jets. What about you, Pat?
So Chargers. Like I said when we started off, I think that they're really close. Couple pieces away from making like some real big moves, whatnot. And this is I'm in the kid. This is my ideal world. Never gonna happen. If it did, it would freaking shake up the NFL, and everyone would be like, "How the fuck did this actually go through?" But like player for player, one for one, Austin Eckler for Derrick Henry. Type of thing. Yeah, throw me over there. Like that team changes for sure. That offense is unstoppable at that point. And I think Austin Eckler's a little frail. He can't finish the whole season. Derrick Henry's arguably one of the greatest running backs to ever do it. And I think that'd be huge. Do the Titans get screwed astronomically? And it would never happen. But I think that would be my trade.
Not a bad trade, man.
So I'm going to be the GM of the Cardinals here, and I am going to trade away AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore for Devontae Adams.
Oh, solid.
And then we got DeAndre Hopkins, and that is just a fire wide receiver core. And if there's still cap space, I'm going to get rid of J.J. Watt and James Conner because we don't really need James Conner. We got Chase Edmonds. And I'm going to go out there and get Khalil Mack because he's just being underutilized at this point in Chicago.
I agree with that. I think
That's
I like
nice.
your defensive moves way better than your offensive moves, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave you a B+ on the GM scale.
Thank you.
I
Try it in NFL doc. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to actually add to my trade. I will get rid of the head coach for Cooper Kupp.
Oh,
Okay,
That is a
Josh Allen and
disservice.
Cooper Kupp on the offense.
Yep.
That's all you really need,
disservice.
though. That's all you need.
I
I'm
don't
actually
think
in on that trade.
Yeah.
I don't think the coach is worth that
Kupp-
much.
Nah, I know. I might have to throw in like a little extra. I'll give him the defensive coordinator, something like that.
I was going to
but-
say,
Well-
Rams are still getting screwed in the deal the same way the Bills are. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Trying
I
to see if we
mean,
had any other.
like a creative deal would be really good for me. Like, I would like to trade away Kirk Cousins and get part of Brian Flores' lawsuit as a residual income, and that's it. That's
Hey,
it.
Gum.
He can just.
That's all I want.
Gums, since we're
Whatever
both
that
GMs,
settlement is, I want a piece.
since
just
we're
want a
both
piece.
GMs of our teams here, Gums, I'm gonna offer you. Okay, now hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm listening.
I'm gonna offer you AJ Green
Okay.
and Christian Kirk.
All
That's
right.
it.
For
And I'm
who?
gonna get Stephon Diggs.
Okay,
I
you
mean,
can
not
have him. He
Stephon
plays
Diggs.
for the Bills. Nope.
What's his-
Trade went through. Trade went through. Thank you very much.
Justin Jefferson.
Locked
Never would we ever trade Justin Jefferson for something like that. I'm a
I'll
big
give you-
proponent of actually moving Dalvin Cook though, so you could trade some stuff for Dalvin
How about this?
Cook.
How about this? I'm gonna give you AJ Green and Colt McCoy for Justin Jefferson.
Never would happen.
Colt
Do you
McCoy is the
not like
step up.
AJ Green?
I don't think you understand how this works.
I'm not getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green's the
Look,
other option.
I'll tell you what. I'll take Kyler Murray.
Core is fine.
Yeah, I'll take Kyler
It's
Murray.
fine.
So I'll take Kyler Murray from you, bro. I'll take the Honey Badger. No, he
Oh,
still
too bad
plays
the
for
Honey
Cardinals,
Badger's
right?
not on the Cardinals. He's
Is he on the Chiefs
dude.
right now?
It's on the Chiefs. Wrong team.
Patterson. You still got Patterson?
I don't even know who that is.
Patrick Peterson. What's his name? I'll take that guy.
Patrick Peterson? No, he's gone
Yeah.
too.
Fucking A. Who do you got? This is our team's ass right now.
He's going down the depth chart. Like, what the fuck?
Listen, I'm
Yeah,
willing to
it's
trade
not
Dalvin
great.
Cook. We can talk about it off screen, but I'm willing to trade Dalvin Cook. I don't really need wide receivers. I'm looking for more of offensive linemen. So
Hey, we have enough players on our team who just get injured every week, so you can keep Dalvin Cook. I'll give you JJ Watt for Dalvin Cook. That's pretty fair.
you know what? I'm not even gonna say this out loud, but I'm gonna tell you right now. Your business savvy is next level. I believe you. I believe who you are and what you say you are, and I love you for it.
Thank you.
Totally
So-
sincere.
Since we're GMs, the Washington football team has probably the worst name in all of the NFL, and it is now the Washington Commanders. Which just is
Ooh,
like,
the Commanders.
why? If you could rename it to something good, what would it be? Let's go, Gums.
Yeah, they're gonna be the Washington Nighthawks. That's what the hell you'll be. You'll be the Washington Nighthawks. And it sounds good and it looks good. And you guys got hawks in Washington, D.C. And you actually have the bird that's called a nighthawk. It's just a little small bird that usually stays and burrows on the ground or some shit like that. And that's what I'd go with. I'd be the Washington Nighthawks. I'd have these sick-ass jerseys with these Nighthawks on them. They'd be like, I don't know, we can keep black, gold, and red. Whatever. Whatever, man. That works for me. That's what I would do.
I think that'd be pretty cool. I think you rebranded, changed the color scheme and everything. But
There
like,
you go.
I like the Washington Nighthawks.
Whatever you want to do, man. I mean, technically, Nighthawks are like camouflage, like bark and stuff, so they're already kind of similar to those colors. So.
Oh, okay.
First of all, the state bird of Washington is the wood thrush. So
That's
you're gonna have to rename your team.
I would not name my team the Washington Wood Thrushes. That sounds like an infectious disease, bro, and I'm not going.
You don't want the Washington Thrush, dude?
No.
Kirby, what are you naming it?
We're going with the Washington Georges. It's gonna
Next level.
they're gonna have powdered wigs attached to their helmets, little buckles on their cleats. Yep.
Yo, the powdered wigs though would be legendary on the helmet. Just have like little frills
Just
at the back of the helmet,
hanging
though.
out the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like look like a freaking lacrosse flow, but it's like the powdered frill.
Yeah, and
It's
Then
like
at
painted.
halftime-
It's like painted on and then attached at the back.
Yep.
So it's like
Yep.
painted
Then
on.
at
the top,
halftime, they're all
only at
gonna
the
walk
back.
out. They're all gonna walk out with muskets and fire it into the air.
Well, they're gonna come onto the field with like a full on like marching band. You know, they're gonna
Yeah.
have like those guys with the drummers.
Damn
and shit.
little drummer boys at it again.
I had to tie it in somewhere.
My man, I love it. Don't let it die. Also, this podcast is brought to you by Vicks Vapor Rub, lavender scent.
Lavender scent.
The lavender scent. It's the only way. This is.
I was
the
wondering
way.
when you were gonna flex that in there. We were kind of getting to that point. I was like, where's
Where's
where does
it
this
coming?
fit here? Where does
Right
this
after
fit
Drummer Boy, I always put it in. It's just what we do.
here? That's where it is. That's
And
the cue,
sometimes
like-
after Die Hard, the Die Hard one,
Yeah.
sometimes we
Yeah.
flex it in there too.
What about you, Pat? What are you renaming
I don't
this
know. So
Washington
like,
team?
I wanted to do something kind of. I know Kirby's was on the extreme side of it, but I did want to do something more like America related, right? Like, so you're in the state capital, so it would be like if you could do something almost like military-esque kind of thing. I think it'd be the perfect little like
like Washington Commanders.
like co-sponsor. No, like that's not as good. Like I just think you could do something with like an actual army branch, like if something like the Green Berets or something like that, or like and do like a full color rebrand of some kind. If it was just like the Washington Berets or something like that, or like the even something like the Generals, I feel like would have been better than the Commanders. Like it would have been something like so much, like, and it's just so basic. How did no one think of that? Like like.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, the Washington Generals does sound better than the Commanders. Like
so much better.
There's no
like,
way
we
I'm the
looked at that and
first
said,
one
"We
to
got
think
it."
of that.
Yeah.
Who's part of their decision team? Because it sucks.
Yeah,
They looked at it
they
and said,
need to be
"Yep, we
fired."
got it." The Commanders. But we have the Nighthawks, we have the Generals, we have the Georges. Nope, it's the Commanders.
My favorite's
What
still
about-
the Georges. That's great.
What about the Washington Congress?
Oh, yeah. I'd love to see
It
them
does-
lose.
It does flow well. I think your
Love it.
mascot's kind of chalked, but like
It's just a bunch of people who
No.
don't get shit done.
Mascots,
they're
Ruth
gonna put
Bader
that-
Ginsburg.
chalked.
Now they're
What
gonna
about-
put that little dancing scroll from that one movie we all
Oh
had to
yeah,
watch
dude,
for
the bill.
the bill,
bill.
whatever the bill
There you
is.
go.
Yeah.
That's the
I
fucking
actually think it
mascot.
would be. I think it'd be way better if the Washington Congress had like 7 mascots and they were all dressed like congressmen, and throughout the game they just periodically beat the shit out of each other. I think that'd be awesome. They just sort of like they had boxing gloves, and every so often this halftime show is like they do like a little duel, and whichever general comes out, that's like that's like your little like pick the winner of the race type
There
thing
you
when
go.
you see at the baseball game. Yeah.
Which
My other
little
oh, go ahead.
sidebar here. That's how we should be handling things in Congress anyway. Like
I'm
you should
in.
be able to physically.
UFC, throw a ring in there.
You
I'll just
should have
go.
to be able to physically defend your position politically in Congress. And that will change
Dana
how
White
everybody
for House
votes.
Majority
like,
Leader?
like nobody's
This
gonna
is gonna
vote
be
for like
one-sided.
this. Yeah, nobody's gonna vote for like this 80-year-old dude if there's a chance that he's gonna get chucked through a table. Like we're gonna have some new blood in there. Anyway,
That's gonna be my
WWE.
write-in.
sidebar.
That's what-
Let's
This would have happened if Vince McMahon ran for president. Just throwing that out.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be my next write-in for who I'm voting for, like to be like my congressman. And say I'm gonna just write in Dana White. That's all I'm gonna do.
Everyone would
Dana
look
White
like
to run the shit.
No, if we were worried before about Russians coming for us, everybody in the cabinetry would look like Ivan Drago. They would just be fucking brawlers. Just fucking.
Just
I'm American. Like no way, this dude's fucking.
Just
fucking.
Khabib
wrestling us
Nurmagomedov like running the shit.
Yeah. Like, nah, we wouldn't let our country get taken like that. But I'm just saying. It'd just be a bunch of brutes in there just fucking doing brute shit. Be like idiocracy, bro. It'd be
oh
crazy.
yeah,
really
that's,
would.
that's how
They
we
really
get there.
would.
Yeah.
That's how we get there.
We need schemers. So like the Washington Commanders, what a name, man. Like again, now that I really think about it, like what a bad. I mean, there's a lot of names out there that could have been used, and to come up with the Commanders and think like, hey, this is the best one out of the 1,000 names we had available to us, I think is just hilarious. I really want to know the worst names, like which names were worse than the Commanders. Like, what were you guys thinking of? Like the Washington Chimichangas, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? The Cucamongas, you know, like what's going on here, bro?
I even thought about the Washington Rose, because the rose is their like state flower. That could have been cool.
I'm almost positive now that Seth was on the committee that chose Commanders. Don't ask me how I know this. But I'm hearing a theme here. Now, don't ask me how I know this, but I think he was there that day and he said, hey, Commanders is it. And they said, yeah,
I was not the man on the grassy knoll.
Oh, man.
That was not me. I was nowhere near there.
Hey, what do we call ourselves? What did you say, Pat?
I was gonna say, does anybody know? Did they release any of like the other like storyboarded names? Like what was on the table? Like
yes,
because I haven't even looked at that. And to Gum's point, I want to know like what was the other shit? What was the other pile of shit you didn't pick from? Like,
whatever Seth was saying. Guys, we should call ourselves the Washington D.C. football team. It's so much better. So they had
so much better.
Names considered were the Red Wolves, the Red Hogs, the Defenders, the Admirals, the Armada. Like the Washington Armada was sick. Out on the field.
Well,
the Washington Red Wolves.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Armada one of those alternative like football league teams? I think.
I don't know.
It might be.
I think that was San Diego, wasn't it? That was the San Diego. Like I don't remember what the.
Yeah. It's like an arena team or something like that, or like
what was that?
XFL
alternative.
Is that the league?
Was it the XFL? Was it the XFL? That might have been it.
Yeah,
maybe.
The Rock owns it now.
The only Armada football team I know of is like a soccer team.
Yo, give me that's a sick name. I'm down for that.
Oh, it was,
why didn't they
Alliance,
choose that?
The AAF, right?
Oh, I don't know what the fuck that is. Where you there?
That's made up, man. That's from like Techno Bowl or something.
Yeah. Well, we got one last topic here, real quick. Since we'll go through it. Do any of you guys have any fun, favorite football movie, fun facts that the audience might know about? Is there anything that you got in the back of your brain right now? I don't know where I'm going with that, but go ahead, Gums. Let's hear what you got.
Hey, I'd like to hear you name another thing because this is great. So in Any Given Sunday, the movie, there's a scene where LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx get into an argument on the field, and they kind of get into a a brawl, so to speak. Little did anybody know, or maybe everybody knows now, is that, in fact, LL Cool J actually did knock out Jamie Foxx. And the reason was because, let's just call LL Cool J a method actor. He was really into it. He was supposed to like hit Jamie Foxx or something, but he actually hit him. And Jamie got mad and said, hey, don't be hitting me. And he did that for a couple takes, they were just kind of going at it. Jamie Foxx punches LL Cool J, says, I told you not to hit me. And then therefore LL Cool J punches him back and knocks him out. So that actually happened. The scene, I believe, is actually kept in that take. Everything that happened in there was real. It wasn't fake. So if you watch Any Given Sunday, which I recommend everybody does, it's freaking great. You will see that scene on there, and it is a real fight.
That's pretty dope. Kirby?
I was looking something up and I didn't hear the question. What are we talking about?
Oh, any fun facts for some of your favorite football movies or show?
You had one earlier that you were hanging on to.
Oh yeah. So I don't remember what we were talking about because that was beginning of the podcast. But in Rudy, so the in the real life story, the in the movie, the coach is made out to be this like real hard ass, like wouldn't let him play until there was like crowd pressure the last 2 minutes of the game. They're like completely up on, so there's no way he can fuck it up anyway. In like the actual like real game that this movie was based off of, the coach actually was very adamant that everybody on the team got to play. So it like that story is completely different. Like there is no real like antagonist in that. He was actually, I guess, just like that coach wanted everybody to be able to like run out and play. So Seth, your comment about being the water boy and being like put me in, coach, that would have happened. He would have put you in.
I went to college the wrong time.
Man.
Did you find anything?
I actually did. In We Are Marshall, a scene in where they have the board of presidents meeting and like the entire school is like waiting outside of the window, like waiting the results of the meeting. That's like it's like one of like the climaxes of the movie. That's like this big kind of like dramatization point for the movie. Didn't happen. Never happened. In fact, the meeting that they had to decide on whether or not they'd have a football team or not actually didn't happen either. The whole like basis of the story that like the dean was gonna cut the football team and they were gonna get with everybody to like cut this program actually didn't happen. That wasn't part of the real story. The plane crashed and they were building back their football team and that whole season kind of thing happened. But that whole like conflict is kind of similar to Kirby's point. And that's fun fact that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. They like were fully intent on keeping their football program.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for wrecking that movie.
Right.
I will never look at it the same.
So
all of the stuff is lies.
Right. My fun fact's a little bit on the lighter side here. The Waterboy is still the highest grossing sports comedy of all time, beating out like The Longest Yard and a few others, with a gross of $162 million. Good for you, Adam Sandler.
That.
Way to go.
Good for you. Good for you, Bobby Boucher.
It's legendary stuff, man.
I hope everybody enjoyed. Yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed. Hopefully you all enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend. I know, like I said, this podcast is happening after the Super Bowl. Go Bengals. Love me some Joey B.
Yep.
Not even. Rams house. Let's go.
Get out of here. But yeah, with that, send us off, Gums.
Whether it's Friday night, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, and in the UK, sometimes Saturday night under the lights, do one thing. If you want to win, put Booby in. Let's keep it rolling.
What is that?
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Rolling Credits Podcast. Be sure to give us a listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Google Play, or a full video recording on our YouTube page. And be sure to check us out on our social medias at Rolling Credits Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next one.